U.S. President Donald Trump said no nation should underestimate American resolve, as he arrived in Japan at the start of a marathon Asian tour. Addressing U.S. troops at Yokota Air Base near Tokyo, he pledged to ensure the military had the resources needed to keep peace and defend freedom. Mr. Trump's visit comes amid heightened tensions with North Korea over its nuclear program and missile tests. It will be the longest tour of Asia by a U.S. president in 25 years. No one, no dictator, no regime, should underestimate American resolve, President Trump told cheering U.S. and Japanese troops shortly after his arrival in Japan. Before touching down, he told reporters on board Air Force One that he expected to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin during his trip. "I think it's expected we'll meet with Putin," he said. "We want Putin's help on North Korea." Mr. Trump was meeting Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe for lunch before the two leaders were due to play a round of golf. Stops in South Korea, China, Vietnam and the Philippines are also on the itinerary in the coming week. What does Asia want from Donald Trump? Trump in Asia, a beginner's guide. Trump vows to tackle North Korea on Asia trip. What has Trump said about your country? En route to Japan, the president stopped in Hawaii where he visited the USS Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor, the scene of the 1941 Japanese attack that drew the U.S. into World War II. He also took part in a briefing at the U.S. Pacific Command. Mr. Trump has previously exchanged some fiery rhetoric with North Korea over its ballistic missile tests, but aides said earlier this week that he would not go to the heavily fortified demilitarized zone DMZ on the border between the South and North Point. He is, however, to visit Camp Humphreys, a U.S. military complex south of the capital, Seoul. In Vietnam, Mr. Trump will attend the Asia-Pacific Economic Company Operations Summit in Da Nang and make a state visit to Hanoi. His final engagement is scheduled to be a summit of Southeast Asian nations in the Philippine capital, Manila, on 13 November, but the trip has now been extended by an extra day so he can attend the East Asia Summit. The last time a U.S. president made such a marathon trip to Asia was when George H.W. Bush visited the region in late 1991 and early 1992. President Trump's itinerary: Sunday, 5 November arrives in Japan. Golf with Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and professional player Hideki Matsuyama at Kasumigaseki Country Club. Bilateral meetings with Mr. Abe Tuesday, 7 November in South Korea for talks with President Moon Jae-in. Mr. Trump will also address the National Assembly Wednesday, 8 November. Arrives in China for a series of events including meetings with President Xi Jinping. Friday, 10 November. Travels to Da Nang, Vietnam, and will participate in the Asia-Pacific Economic Company Operation APEC Summit. Saturday, 11 November. Travels to Hanoi, Vietnam, for talks with President Tran Dai Quang and other Vietnamese leaders. Sunday, 12 November. Arrives in Manila, Philippines, to take part in a gala dinner for the 50th anniversary of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations ASEAN. Monday, 13 November. Will attend the ASEAN Summit in Manila and hold talks with President Rodrigo Duterte. Tuesday, 14 November. He will now stay for the East Asia Summit, a wider regional gathering that includes the U.S., India and Russia.